Today we're going to have a look at how you can improve your singing voice. To do this, I'm going to show you a couple of clips from a course available at andyguitar.co.uk, which was filmed by Elizabeth Giroff. She is the host of the Charismatic Voice YouTube channel. She is a world-class singer, vocal coach, and she has a fabulous YouTube channel. Definitely check it out. But she's made a premium course for my website, andyguitar.co.uk, that if you're not a member, you can check out for free for 10 days by taking out a 10-day free trial. The link is at the top of the description. But I pulled out 3 core videos from that course that I really feel could provide huge benefit to all of you guys, especially in the wake of the John Bon Jovi Netflix documentary, which detailed his vocal struggles and how he damaged his voice over the decades that he was singing, and his kind of journey to being able to continue with the Bon Jovi act, and the news that Aerosmith have retired from playing live in the wake of Steven Tyler's vocal injury. I wanted to explore what's going on here, what's the science behind it, and how can we protect our voices, and how can we improve our voices going forward in a safe way. So let's jump into a clip from Elizabeth now and check out the science behind what's happening with pitch and what's happening in your vocal cords in your throat to produce this sound. Let's have a look.
Pitch is extremely important for singing because it is the #1 most judged thing about a singer. And both amateurs and pros practice on improving their pitch. But many people don't actually understand where pitch comes from. Pitch is essentially how high or low a note sounds. And that is perceived by our ears by little vibrations, very fast vibrations often, in the atmosphere. In the case of a stringed instrument, that pitch is made by a string vibrating in the air. And those little tiny vibrations then get transferred through the air to our ears. Our vocal folds are kind of like 2 strings on either side of the larynx, but there's actually a bunch of ligament and muscles in there too. And those 2 vocal folds essentially go wacka, 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 wacka really fast. So for example, concert A, that's the note that most orchestras tune to. That vibrates at 440 hertz. That means that it vibrates 440 times per second. Yes, you heard that. That means your vocal folds, if you're singing that note, go whack, 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 440 times a second. And as you go higher, it doubles. So an A, an octave above, so this is the A below, concert A, octave above, that is 880 hertz. So that means whack, 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 880 times per second. And then it goes, as you go lower, it's much, much slower. So that means that our vocal folds are shaping the air really quickly, but we don't really feel it. And that's because we don't have many nerve endings in the vocal folds. There are some nerves around the muscles of your larynx, but actually that spot where the vocal folds are connecting right there, where they smack together, we don't really feel that. And it isn't really natural for our vocal folds to immediately lock in to the exact frequency of vibration to match a pitch. Often, we'll be listening for a pitch and then sensing that pitch, usually inside our head in some way, and trying to determine if we should be a little bit higher or lower, meaning faster or slower, essentially. We also can often envision a pitch, so we'll be able to sort of hear one in our inner ear and say, oh, I want to hit this note, and then self-judge to see if we got to that note or not. But it's not like we're a piano when we sing. We can't just go boop, 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 boop. We actually have to judge all of those frequencies in between and see if we can land on the right pitch. So just a little bit further breakdown of this. Consider A, 440 hertz, right below. G, a whole step below, that's 392 hertz. There's a lot of distance between those 2 notes. So as a singer, you have to learn how to coordinate both how it feels in here and how it hears up here to learn how to sing exactly on a pitch. But the good news is we don't actually always want singers to be perfectly in the slot of a pitch. It's considered expressive to sing a little bit sharp or a little bit flat, meaning that instead of singing 440, maybe you sing 450 hertz. And just a little bit of sharp singing is often associated with excitement, whereas singing just a little bit flat, that can be considered a particularly pained expression. So you want to practice singing on pitch in that slot most of the time, but have a little bit of wiggle room to add some expression. I'm going to give you 3 general tips right now to help you out with singing on pitch. But I definitely recommend looking at the next video as well, which is going to be giving you a specific pitch vocal exercise to work on. For now, here are 3 tips. Tip number 1, energize to go higher. Higher notes, as you know, require a lot faster vibrations. So if you just think about giving a little bit more energy, often it will be easier to hit that pitch. Tip number 2, be careful when descending that you don't go down too far. Since your vocal folds are essentially relaxing a little bit more, it's really easy to let them relax too much. So you want to be really careful. I actually often think about sort of going down a little narrow line or a narrow ledge when you're descending so that you don't accidentally overshoot the note that's lower. And tip number 3, sometimes thinking faster or slower will help improve your pitch instead of thinking higher or lower. You don't actually feel faster or slower vibrations, but somehow this little mind hack is really helpful to think, oh, I'm going to go higher. Well, actually, my vocal folds are just going faster, or I'm going to go lower. Let my vocal folds go a little bit slower. That little mind trick, I swear, really helps a number of people to sing more on pitch.
So there's some of the science behind how pitch is made and how it's heard, and also what's actually happening in our vocal cords, and a couple of mental tricks that we can use to improve our performance. What did you make of those? Let me know in the comments. My takeaway was that I'm familiar with the doubling of a frequency being equivalent to an octave, but I never really equated that to like what was happening in my vocal folds when I sing, and also the energy that it takes, like to energize to be able to sing higher notes. We kind of know that we have to do it, but I never really realized why, and that really explains it. And just being aware of that, I feel like we can start to respect and give the time that's needed and put the time into warming up and training when you understand what you're putting your body through. This next clip I'm going to show you talks you through 3 steps to great vocal technique. A couple of these might seem simple, but in my experience, getting the best vocal performance is often about doing the absolute basics as well as we possibly can at every moment. And I just wanted to show you this clip because I think it's really, truly helpful. There are more exercises, even audio tracks to sing along to within this course that's available. Link at the top of the description below. But let me show you this now. I think it will be really helpful for you guys.
These steps are founded in science. This is the scientific function of how your voice works. Step number 1 is to breathe. I know. A lot of people say, wait, is this really singing? We're talking about breathing, no phonations included. The first step to singing is to take a good breath. It's kind of like when you jump. You don't just go up, you have to go down to go up to jump. So you might try that if you haven't ever, by the way, just give it a shot. In order to sing, you have to take a breath. That breath is taken in by your diaphragm. Well, really, your diaphragm goes down and your lungs expand. So the air actually just flows in. But many of us know that muscles only pull one direction. So after the diaphragm is done pulling in, it's actually muscles that are mostly below the diaphragm that will control the air out. Now, this is really important. Your diaphragm is about where this black line on my dress is. That's where your diaphragm is, and it goes all the way around. And if your breath is happening all the way down there, that means that your breath needs to be low and centered. Your breath doesn't have anything to do with your shoulders or your scapulae, okay? None of that. Breath is low. And if you take a good breath, a really good, steady breath, and you use it well, that means you've completed the first step of vocal technique. The second step of vocal technique is phonation. And that is when the air goes by your vocal folds. So the exact moment when the air goes by and your vocal folds start going wacka, 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 that moment is called phonation. And a lot of things can happen during that moment that make it really easy or really hard. You want it to be easy. So when we go into the phonation lesson in just a little while, I'll give you some exercises that will make it much easier. You want to be able to sing a high note without forcing it out. You want to be able to sing a low note without croaking it out. So it's a very good idea to work on some phonation exercises. Once you have phonated, so once you've created a pitch, the next vocal step is to shape that pitch. And that happens from here up. So right here is where the pitch is created, phonated. And then above that is where you have shaping happen. That entire area, that's called your vocal tract, by the way. Now, there's so many different things that you can do in your vocal tract to make a note come out as a particular vowel, like E or Ah. That's shaped by my tongue and by different mouth positions. Or you can make it go through your nose, or you can aim for certain buzzy spots in your face to help change your resonance. There's a lot of different things you can do with that shaping aspect on top. However, if you have not phonated well and you haven't taken a good breath, then working on the shaping doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you don't have a good fundamental sound to work with. So it's really important to build these steps from the ground up. First, focus on your breathing, then your phonation, and then your shaping. And just so you know, you can spend your entire singing life working on these 3 steps. These are the basics, but the more that you improve the basics, the more that your singing overall will improve. So we're going to be starting now with just a little light touching on each of these 3 steps. But just know that you can go infinitely deep on each of these and get infinitely better as a result.
So thank you so much to Elizabeth Sharoff from the Charismatic Voice YouTube channel. She has a website as well. She's doing some fantastic stuff. But the videos you've seen of her in this video are from the singing course that she made exclusively for my website, andyguitar.co.uk. Learn to sing with Elizabeth Sharoff. The link's at the top of the description. I'll leave it on screen now. Many more helpful singing videos and singing tips are on the website too. It's not the only singing course that we have. Check it out, and I'll see you over there. Bye-bye.